Hello and welcome to a video about the lunar eclipse. This video is about the lunar eclipse of the 4th of April 2015, and I hope this will be a short video just in order to explain what it means in general. And in the monthly horoscopes of April, which I already made, you can see what it means in particular for you. Now, lunar eclipses, I explain in another video, which I will put down below in a link. I explain a bit of the more helicopter view when it comes to eclipses. And the video I think is called Saros Eclipses, or the Saros series. And there you can understand what it really means, the eclipses in a more general aspect. And every eclipse belongs to a certain family and has a certain meaning, which is very overall view. And I find this in the book of Bernadette Brady. And this one is the meaning of this eclipse is the same as the meaning of the eclipse of that we had on the 20th of March in Pisces. So it's an eclipse, for those who are interested in this. It's an eclipse that belongs to the 17 South Saros family. And that eclipse is all about new groups that can be formed. And on the other hand, also new relationships that can be formed. That is very much on the background. So this is very general. But now let's break it a bit more. Let's break it down to the day of the 4th of April 2015. Because yes, there is this eclipse, but what else is going on with the planets? And that can give us some clues of what is happening. Is it an easygoing eclipse? Is it a more difficult energy? And so on and so on. The energy of this eclipse, although the moon will be in Libra, which is a very gentle sign, and Libra is always trying to find, especially the moon, because the moon represents our needs, it represents not only our emotional life, but also our perspective and our needs. So the moon in Libra definitely wants stability and definitely wants peace, you could say. But there are very unstable energies going on during the day of the 4th of April with that moon. That moon is connected, yes, in an opposition with the sun, which shows a full moon, of course. And because the nodes are involved, we have an eclipse. And that in itself always shows clarity, shows epiphanies, shows understandings, shows more consciousness than ever. When there is a full moon, this means that people have insights, and this can, our normal reaction would be, oh, insights, great, consciousness, fantastic. But of course, reality shows that when we have sometimes a clear insight, it can be for better or for worse, because sometimes that can be, of course, a bit, harsh reality. And it depends on the context of the person, if that person will deal well with that reality or not. It really depends on everyone in person. So if you really want to, if you're really feeling that you need some clues and understanding, it's best to look for an astrologer, your local astrologer, or someone that you resonate with, to have a closer look to the overall view. But in general, this lunar eclipse in Libra will be a quite restless one. That's the word, restlessness. But, and I know that people, when they hear the word restlessness, when they hear the word, Uranus, because this moon in Libra is so connected with Uranus, it will be opposite Uranus. And so this is the main team, you could say, the Uranus-Pluto square, that yes, it's over, you could say, or it's almost over, but still it's in a square. And the eclipse is actually, the Pluto-Uranus square is activated again by the eclipse, because the moon will be in Libra, the sun will be in Aries, and the sun will be next to Uranus. and the moon will be opposite Uranus. That's the main thing. There are other stuff going on, but I'm just going to talk about the main thing, which is here about this opposition. Mercury is also involved in this. So Mercury is also involved in the connection between Uranus and between the eclipse. So there will be, for a lot of people who have planets round about 14 degrees of Libra, Aries, Cancer and Capricorn will feel it the most. So people who don't have any planets or progressed planets, don't forget to look at your progress planets as well. If you don't have progress planets there, if you don't have a personal planet there, if you don't have an ascendant, a descendant, an MC or an IC on those points, you won't feel that eclipse. You won't feel it won't be that meaningful for you. It will fall somewhere in an area of your life, but it will not, you will not be triggered by it. So it's not for all of us. And again, if you want to be sure, you need to dig a little bit deeper and to have a look at those degrees. So so the main thing about this eclipse is restlessness. Now, restlessness comes before changes. When the person feels restless, when a person has, for instance, and the restlessness is caused by Uranus, or reflected, I want to say. So the restlessness is caused by Uranus, and Uranus is a planet that doesn't want to damage us, that doesn't want to, you know, if you look in the books, it's a very reckless planet, and so on and so on. But what Uranus wants us to do is to cut ourselves off from things that are no longer suiting us, from things that are, how do you call that? That we feel a bit like that. Then Uranus comes along and cuts it off, and so that you feel the liberation again. It's like when you feel very trapped, and the only thing you want to do is escape, and that is by cutting off the cords, you could say. That is very much Uranus, and especially with the moon. So the moon is very emotional. The moon can be very reactive, although in Libra, it's a moon that will think before it does. And that's the good thing about this. You know, if this would have been a moon in Aries, it would be totally different. It would be really restless energy. And it would be like throw away the baby with the bathwater. But not in this case. In this case, the energy is about restlessness that can bring us to courageous acts. And so if you have something in your life that has been very stuck for a long time, I mean years and years and years, now can be the time that you have the courage and you do whatever it is that you want to do, because the sun is involved here, and the sun is about your identity, and the sun is a masculine planet and is about doing and taking the courage, having the spirit, and do whatever it is that you want to do. So it's very, you can't say that this is a positive or a negative eclipse. I don't like that when people say it's very negative, very positive. What I do want to say is that yes, this is an eclipse that is restless and that can trigger us to shifts and big shifts in our lives. And for some, that will be painful, of course. And for others, it will be a liberation. But actually, for all, it will be a liberation. But sometimes we must liberate ourselves, and that causes us a little bit of pain, or a great deal of pain. I'll give you an example. Let's give this example that you have this in your 7th house. You have the moon in your 7th house, and you've got this eclipse bang on your moon. The 7th house is about relationships. So this is typical when, let's say you have a difficult relationship and you've been thinking about what's going on in my relationship. Am I going to keep on going like this forever? Is this good for me as a soul? You know, the sun is about your identity and your spirit. And do I feel trapped in many ways? And is this negative for my evolution and for all of us? and that Uranus Pluto square triggering the eclipse can give you that boost, can give you that energy, can give you that I had enough of it energy to break through and to cut the cords with the relationship. And then of course it will be painful, but you can go on with your life. So that's the energy. So Uranus in itself is not bad, but it is the energy of you cut the cords, and in order for you to go on. Now for some people it could be like, let's take that example again of the relationship. It could be a person that has been single for a long time and had enough of being single and of being scared of stepping into a new relationship. And then this eclipse comes along on the moon, and then they say, you know, I had enough of this. I had enough of this isolation, and that's what I'm going to cut myself off. I'm going to cut myself off with the isolation. It's a strange example, but it's true. Whenever there is Uranus involved, there is a 180 degree of change going on, and it depends on your context what this change will be. In other words, because Uranus is has such a negative connotation in books and when you read about it on the internet, this is a kind of a warning that I want to give to the people. When they plot this eclipse into their own chart, just look at your context and turn it around 180 degrees. In other words, if you have a stable relationship, and but there are some things that are nagging and that are bothering you for a great deal of time, this will come up, and that will be your eclipse, that you deal with it. But for others, as I said, it can mean that you had a very unstable relationship for a long, long time, very unstable. And now you turn it around into stability, even when it's a Uranus transit. And the stability can be, you know, I end this relationship, or I have a good talk with the person close to me and I say, look, now we're going to shift this and we are taking the action. So it's very difficult to say what's going to happen with Uranus. But the thing that is sure is that things will shift 180 degrees. So, and depending on those, on your houses, that will be the meaning. So a very interesting eclipse. And yes, for some people, it can mean a serious shift. But for those, and this is my biggest message that I want to give, for those who are really having enough of a certain job, a certain relationship, a certain project, a certain thing that they, you know, it's up to here, this is the time to cut the cords. And this is why Uranus is there, to free us up, to liberate us, so that we can start all over again. And it will give us great insights, because whenever Mercury is involved with Uranus, and especially in a conjunction like this, Mercury together with the Uranus, it means that there are insights coming up. But of course, a lot of more insight can lead to your reality that needs to shift. So that is all about what I wanted to say about the lunar eclipse. Check out my monthly horoscopes. Have a very good eclipse. Take the courage if you really feel that you're up to, because now is the time to do so. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.